Have you ever had a Sunday night where you're like, Monday, I'm gonna lock in and crush the whole entire week. And then Monday comes around and for some reason you feel like all the pressure is on your shoulders and you feel like every task is really hard and going to work is hard, working out is hard, following the plan is hard. And then you also have other times where it's really easy and you are on top of things. And I truly believe that going through the cycle of starting and stopping or starting over or like I'm gonna level up now is a terrible mindset to have about fitness and also just about your life. What I hopefully want to do in this video is, as a coach, give you some clarity and some relief about life, because let's be real, it can get really fucking hard. And it can be exceptionally hard when you have a fat loss goal or a weight loss goal, or you're trying to build muscle, you're trying to get in better shape. Maybe you join a new fitness program or you join a gym and you're trying to get into things. But I purely think the success of people's fitness, anybody who's just trying to like better themselves in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, it purely depends on how you think about it and your mindset and how you go about things. So let's talk about it. So let's be like a little bit more real. You don't need more motivation. You need to get over yourself. Motivation, we all know this. Sometimes we need a reminder about it though. It comes and goes, but it's a really powerful thing to use to keep yourself going. And usually when I'm not motivated, it's because I've set way too high of expectations for myself on the day or for the week. And so I overwhelm myself. So instead, even if I'm not feeling well on the day, I like to set minimums for the day. Like today, for the workout, was not feeling it. Wanted to skip it. Didn't want to work today. Yesterday, took half the day off because I wasn't doing well. So today, all I've been thinking to myself is just like, relax. It's not that serious. All you got to do is show up and do the minimums. My workout, I'm not doing anything extra other than like 3 working sets, 3 to 4 exercises. I'm making this video, then I'm going to dip. I go home, do the other things that I need to do. But when you're in that mental funk, it's harder for some people, less hard for others. But for me, it hits a lot because I have a lot of to-dos on my list with life. So sometimes it kind of gets in the way of me. So that's something that helps me a lot. Getting out of my own way, looking at the minimums that I gotta do, just showing up for those, calling it a day when I'm done. But if you constantly push yourself to do like the max or to be super motivated or to show up at your best all the time, you just can't do that. You can't be perfect. So just show up with what you got, because like we're always trying to do better or like do more to get better, right? That's a vicious cycle. And you doing better or doing more, it doesn't have to look like you literally doing more. It could literally look like you just showing up the best that you can to like the minimum amount of shit that you need to do on the day, just doing it semi-decently well, and that's it. And that's what gives me a lot of like, that's what takes away a lot of stress for me a lot of the time, because I'm always trying to show up and like do the best that I can, but I have to pull myself into this mindset a lot of the time because I just overdo it and it sucks. And if you constantly think that way of just like trying to do more, trying to get better, trying to blah 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 blah, that's why you keep trying to start fresh every Monday. But it's not like that. So instead of thinking like that, like you're just trying to flow day to day with the minimum amount of shit that you need to do a little bit more if you feel like it, and like that's it. You're human. You're not a fucking machine. You can't just keep going. So sometimes you have to dial it back. But if you always set up those high expectations for yourself, that's why sometimes you can crash and burn and you feel like you're restarting on Monday and then you kind of fail again and blah 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 blah. So instead of that, you need to learn how to get just into the flow and then try to maintain that flow without knocking yourself off track. But what I just told you about minimums, I find helps me and also a lot of other people a lot. And here's a flip perspective on perfection. I think a lot of people, including myself, are quote unquote addicted to perfection, wanting to be like all in or nothing, do the most, etc., because they're addicted to having an excuse to bail and then restart when things get bad. Because let's be real, when you're on the grind and you're just flowing, it can get boring and the game becomes trying to make that the new normal without sabotaging it. But you're really used to sabotaging it because you let your own mind get in the way. I challenge you to find your minimums and coast as long as you can for like 6 weeks without letting an excuse, a bad meal, a bad talk with your partner, family member, friends, whatever, hangouts, get in the way of you keeping the momentum going, because you can do that. But it takes being aware about yourself, what you're doing, not doing too much, and just really solidifying your plan and making it very doable day to day. Just think day to day. Well, that's what I challenge you to do. Ditch the all in or nothing mindset. Start practicing this, and it honestly changes the game. Trust me. Like even for me, I'm not even just saying trust me, bro. Like I'm just saying that because I've been through my own things in life, and there are things that I look back on and I'm like, man, I didn't even have to say that or do that or do it this way. I could have just kept the flow going, and that would have felt so much better versus overcomplicating everything, trying to change things, whatever. So stop complicating your life. And let's be real, guys. A lot of us who fall off track try to get back on track by making it as miserable as possible to prove it to ourselves that we can do it, which can be a good thing and a bad thing because you overcome circumstances that you place on yourself to make things better, to make yourself grow. But it's a double-edged sword. And I actually don't like to approach life like that. And sometimes I catch myself, even today, and yesterday, I caught myself in that train of thought where I was just trying to do it all because I've built up some really good momentum. I'm like, I'm going to start the week strong, and then boom, it just hits you. And you feel like a pile of shit. You feel like the resistance between you and the things that you need to get done are so strong that you feel weak. You feel like you can't do it. And so then it's like, how can I change my way of thinking and also how I go about things to make it easier on myself? And that all comes down to the things that you do in your fitness, you know, in your life, in your relationships. Try to make things more fun. I think that a lot of people who have a happier life, what I've noticed is that they're a lot more chill about things. They're a lot like cooler about things, if that makes sense. They let go easily. They move on. And sometimes for a lot of people, it's something that you need to embrace in order to live a better life. And so you don't need to have the most extreme diet. You don't need to have the most extreme workout today. You know, like you just need to have a good enough workout. You just need to eat pretty well, you know, and just flow with the rest of your day. You don't need to be the perfect man or woman in a relationship because that's not what your partner is looking for. That's also not how you should be showing up. You know, you don't need to be the most perfect boss. You don't need to be the most perfect boss of the household. Nobody's perfect. We're all human, and being perfect literally is not a thing, and it will make you miserable. And something that I find that knocks me off track mentally, what I'm talking about again, guys, is like not having to feel like you have to restart all the time, or, you know, not getting into a place where you sabotage yourself and your progress and you let your emotions get the best of you. So something that happens to me, and I think that it happened this week to me, but like the weekends can get the best of people. You really need to define what your boundaries are when it comes to your life, your fitness. I don't know if you're a business owner or just somebody who, you know, works a normal job. You might be, whatever it is, but you cannot be perfect all the time. And I think that on the weekends, what happens is people, like the people who have goals with their fitness, they try to like be so on track on the weekends, or even people who run their like a business, for example, usually they feel guilty for not working the weekends. And the truth is that like you can't operate your life like that. Like you do need a break here and there. You do need to learn what flexibility is. You need to learn what balance is. And you need to have that boundary locked in, because if you set your expectations too high, especially on weekends where most people have those weekends off, kids usually have weekends off from school. So if you're a parent and, you know, you're trying to be like fucking on point all the time, but your kids have it off and this, that, and it just doesn't work well with your life. And you need to find a flow that you can get into, so then that way you know that like you can, like, you know what to expect on the weekend, so then it doesn't knock you off track. You know what I mean? That way, if you can expect it, then on Monday it makes it a lot easier, and then you don't feel like your weekends completely like fuck you over. And this is why I think that being successful in a fitness journey equals being successful in life, because in order to be successful in life with whatever you have going on, with whatever you have in your life, you need to understand what your identity is. And if you don't understand that, it's so easy for yourself and your emotions and your thoughts to get in the way. For example, if you always say that you fail, or you suck, or you always fall off, or you can't stay on track, or you're not worthy, you're not blah, 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 blah. Congratulations. You're just manifesting mediocrity in general, which leads you to feel even worse about yourself. And that's not true. That's not who you are. It's just your thoughts. It's just, so start acting like someone who doesn't quit. Again, it doesn't mean that you need to be perfect, but work out when you don't feel like it. Plan semi-decent meals even when you don't feel like it. You know, choose doing something slightly productive in a less crazy way to just make sure that you keep the ball rolling. Build the I follow through identity, not the I always quit on myself, I'm a failure identity, because that's not you. And it just starts with today. Like literally, you can get yourself back on a roll starting today, but it just depends on your next move moving forward. And I know I've been relating this to myself a lot, because for me, like I struggle sometimes. Like this week, I struggled. It happens. You know what I mean? And these are the thoughts that I walk myself through to help myself get back on a roll, because it's not easy when you have a lot of stuff to do. You know, you still want to enjoy your life, but you feel like you can't, and you still got to work out and take care of your health. And I'm a coach. I have to take care of my clients and show up for them and stuff like that. And it's so easy for me to get caught up in a state where I feel like I need to be perfect with everything. And oh, I'm feeling a little bit off and I can't show up as well as, it's not about that. It's just about showing up, even if it's not the most enthusiastic or most positive, or I still try to be positive, but it's just about showing up in a way that's doable, not in an over top way, because you're only here in this moment and you can only do what you can do today. And I find that these are really good reminders and practices to get yourself out of that funk of feeling like you need to restart over and over again, because that's just not how life works. Like, life is just ongoing. Like, the days of the week are made up by humans. You know what I mean? Life just keeps going, and days off or days on, they don't really matter. Time is made up by humans. It's like technically like not even, it's real, but it's like, it's something that we hold, like we attach ourselves to so much. And so what I want you to try to do is to detach yourself from that and just try to flow like the wind blowing through a tree. You just flow. Like, that's just how it is. So if you've been stuck in the Monday restart cycle, you keep falling off, you don't need a new diet, you don't need more motivation. You just need to stop ghosting your goals every time life gets inconvenient. Set minimums, just show up the best that you can anyways, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable. Guess what? That uncomfortable feeling is gonna pass. And try to make your plan for life not suck. Try to make it a little bit more enjoyable. Fill your life with some fun things. How you operate and go about things, try to make it a little bit more fun and lighthearted. I think adding some humor into the mix. I watch a lot of comedy. I find that adding a little bit of humor in, like, I find that comedians are the best, because like they can make the worst things in life funny. They can put a funny spin on it, and it completely changes people's reaction and perspective about life. And sometimes we're so caught up in our own mind and way of thinking that we are so serious all the time. And that's why I like to watch a lot of comedy, because it helps me tap into that perspective of like, oh, making things funny. So, you know, just take it easy. You don't need to restart. You just need to take a deep breath, set your minimums, show up the best you can, even if it's not perfect. It doesn't, and it's never going to be perfect. Just show up, do what you can, and make sure to like this video, comment, subscribe if it helped you. Much love, you guys. Take it easy and have an amazing day.